Hey, what's up everyone? Hugh Graphs. So if you haven't already, sub to 72mazefan. I'm doing a video response. Actually get to do a video I've been planning on doing anyways, but he wanted to have a in-person story from when you got an in-person autograph. And this is probably my most interesting IP story outside of my Greg Jennings. So I've been wanting to make it because I honestly got to scream at Calvin Johnson, and that is his signature on my jersey. The story is pretty interesting. It's like a not very happy story with it. I mean, I got his autograph, so it was a good ending, but basically in 2012 in Battle Creek, Michigan, Calvin Johnson and Matthew Stafford were both surprise guests at a Drew Stanton charity kickball tournament. Nobody knew if they were actually going to show up, but they did, and people went crazy, and you could tell Calvin Johnson wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. He had just started breaking records, and they had their 2011 season where Stafford threw for 5,000 yards. They were coming off of all that, and Calvin Johnson, I think he had just won the Madden cover, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, it's about the time that he blew up into superstardom, and you could tell he was very uncomfortable with it. He didn't want to acknowledge anybody. Just long lines, they were signing in a dugout, and it's there's a line at each side of the dugout, and you could get pictures and etc. Basically, they'd let one side in, and they do it between innings for the kickball. And it was no matter what side I was on, basically it was the side not moving. And then I got pretty close to the front of one side, and then all of a sudden they just stopped letting that side in. So I noticed the other side had gotten pretty short, so we moved to that side. The main moral of this story is, it was, I think, May 20th, and it was that really hot summer. And this is all taking place around noon, about 1 o'clock, right in part of the hottest part of the day. And the heat index, just regular without humidity and stuff, was 95 degrees. My wife was about 8 months pregnant, working on 9 months, and it was super hot, and she was really sunburnt. And then I have 2 other little kids. They were about 3 and 6 then, 3 and 5, and they're just crying because we've been there since 9 a.m. and it's just so hot, and they're in the pea gravel just bawling. You could tell everybody around me was wow. And Calvin Johnson just kept walking past us, and he wouldn't look at anybody. No, he wouldn't acknowledge nobody unless it was that special time where they're letting you in. And I couldn't do that to my family. I couldn't risk the child inside my wife and my wife's health, and I mean my kids' health. There's no way we expected to be there so long. And finally, I had just gotten sick of him walking on by, and I mean, just at the top of my lungs, I screamed in an angry voice, "Hey, Calvin!" And he just spun around and looked at me like, "Are you crazy?" And I was mad at that point, and I was basically, dude, my wife is over 8 months pregnant. She's really sunburned. I need to get her out of the sun. Could I please just get your signature real quick so that I can get my family out of here? And I mean, he paused for a second, and you could tell he thought about it. and like basically pondering, should I do this special favor for this person? You know, eventually, I mean, there was about a 3-second pause, and I mean, at the time, that pissed me off. Like I'm worried about my wife, and, you know, I know that it could piss some other people off, but, like, you really had to think about that. So, like, he doesn't really say anything the whole time. He, like, kind of just comes up, puts his hand up, you know, to grab my marker. I had an electric blue Sharpie, which turned out just magnificent. I handed it to him. I spun around. He signed the top of my 8. I spun back, and he goes to hand me back my Sharpie, and I'm just like, thank you so much. And like, I grab with these 2 fingers the marker, and then I reach in with these bottom 3, and I try to get a piece of him, and I give him just the gayest, most feminine, like, I just want to touch you handshake. And he just looked at me so crazy. And yeah, I got my family out of there. I ended up meeting Nate Burleson too. I got to scream at Calvin Johnson. Met Matthew Stafford, who was by far like the nicest individual in the world. He sang happy birthday to this little boy. He signed a couple footballs and some other stuff for me. So, all in all, it was a really cool day, really cool memory. I'll admit, like, the whole rest of that off season, like, I was talking crap about Calvin Johnson. And I understand people made him uncomfortable, but like, I was really upset that he had to think about it, and I was mad at him all the way until he caught his first touchdown of the following season. So, 72Maze fan, that is my story of meeting Calvin Johnson. So if you guys haven't already, sub to him. I've subbed to him, and y'all have a good one. Hugh Graff's cutting out. Later.